A quarterly dynamic study of seizure, TSI-Stroke, and sleep hours before and after the June 21, 2025 stroke event, number 1606, April 22, 2026. Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation, category Stroke. Seizure, Biomedical System Dynamics, Preventive Medicine. Introduction. This paper extends my earlier written seizure model paper No.1603 by using a very simple but insightful quarterly dynamics analysis over 18 consecutive quarters. From 2022 Q1 through 2026 Q2, the purpose is not to add more variables or make the model more complicated. Instead, the purpose is to examine the same core structure more deeply through time sequence analysis. The three variables included are 1. TSI-Seizure, 2. TSI-Stroke, 3b, representing stroke-related stress load flow glucose, PP, and SPP, 3, sleep hours, representing recovery capacity. This structure remains simple and physically meaningful. TSI-3b captures the combined stress effect of SPP, PP, and glucose on my stroke risk. Sleep hours represent the brain's recovery and damping capacity. TSI-Seizure reflects the combined result of both stress and recovery. Therefore, this quarterly dataset covers both the stress side and the recovery side of the biomedical system of seizure. Data and method. The dataset contains 18 quarters of complete values, 2022 Q1 through 2026 Q2. The main research method used here is not a complicated formula. It is a directional and sequential analysis based on quarter-to-quarter movement. From Q-1 through Q2+1, for each quarter, I observed whether 1. TSI-3b moved up or down, 2. Sleep hours moved up or down, 3. TSI-Seizure moved up or down. This method is simple, but it captures system dynamics clearly. It also avoids changing the program code of my medical AI software, which I rely on for routine daily data collection, health monitoring, and for million data points. Main observations. The quarterly data show three distinct phases. Phase 1, relative stability with mild fluctuation, 2022 through 2024 from 2022 Q1 to 2024 Q4. Both TSI-Seizure and TSI-Stroke remain mostly in the range between 87 and 98. Nightly sleep hours gradually improved from 6.9 hours in 2022 Q1 to 7.19 hours in 2024 Q4, with a peak of 7.31 hours in 2024 Q1. During this 3-year interval, the seizure stress system, i.e. TSI-Stroke, was not low such as below 85, but it was relatively controlled such as below 100. Specifically, my TSI-Seizure score moved mostly between 87 and 98, and the TSI-Stroke score moved mostly between 86 and 99. The gradual improvement in sleep hours likely helped stabilize the system, since sleep hours offer a recovery effect on seizures. Phase 2, pre-event overload phase, 2025 Q1. The most important finding appears in 2025 Q1, right before my stroke happened in 2025 Q2. My TSI-Seizure rose sharply from 94.28 in 2024 Q4 to 106.35 in 2025 Q1, an increase of 12.07 points. My TSI-Stroke rose from 98.42 to 105.38, an increase of 6.96 points. At the same time, sleep hours fell from 7.19 to 6.92, a decrease of 0.27 hours. This quarter shows the clearest danger pattern in the entire dataset. TSI-Stroke up, sleep down. TSI-Seizure sharply up. This is a very meaningful directional combination. It indicates that the stress load increased while recovery capacity weakened. The combined result was a sharp rise in seizure-related system instability. This quarter, 2025 Q1, corresponds to the period roughly 3 to 5 months before the actual stroke and seizure, even on June 21, 2025. Therefore, the event did not occur at the beginning of the overload process. It occurred right after a period of elevated stress and reduced recovery had already developed. Phase 3, post-event recovery and delayed improvement, 2025 Q2 through 2026 Q2. After the peak quarter of 2025 Q1, both TSI-Seizure and TSI-3b began to decline. TSI-Seizure from 2025 Q3 to 2026 Q2. 106.35 greater than 103.75 greater than 98.47 greater than 85.37 TSI-Stroke from 2025 Q3 to 2026 Q2, 105.38 greater than 100.53 93.76 greater than 91.42 At the same time, sleep hours improved steadily, 6.92 greater than 7.00 greater than 7.09 7.49 greater than 7.50 greater than 7.50. This is another strong system pattern, as recovery capacity improved. Both stroke-related stress and seizure-related instability declined. The lowest TSI seizure value of the entire 18-quarter dataset occurred at 2:05 for only 85.37, while sleep reached 7.49 hours. This suggests a strong stabilizing effect of sleep recovery. Interpretation: this quarterly analysis supports for major conclusions. First, stroke and seizure were not random events. The pre-event quarter, 2:05 Q1, already showed the highest combined overload pattern. This means the system was signaling danger before the actual event happened. These two TSI models served their intended purpose of warning. Second, the biomedical cyst behaves with delay. The peak stress and peak seizure risk appeared in 2:05 Q1, while the stroke and seizure event occurred in late June 2025. This suggests a delay of about 1 quarter, or about 3 to 5 months, between maximum overload and actual clinical failure. Third, sleep plays a real recovery role. It is not just a background lifestyle variable. When sleep hours fell in the danger quarter, TSI seizure surged. When sleep improved steadily after the event, both TSI seizure and TSI stroke declined. This supports the interpretation that sleep acts as a damping or repair factor of the neurovascular system. Fourth, this simple time sequence method provides more insight than a static snapshot. A single quarter alone cannot explain the event, but the sequence Q-1 through Q to Q+1 shows clearly how the system moved toward overload, then toward failure, then later toward recovery. Conclusion: this study demonstrates that very simple quarterly dynamic analysis can provide meaningful insight into seizure and stroke behavior without adding more variables or changing my customized medical AI software system. Similar to Newton's law of motion, F equals m*A, my law of protection, TSI seizure equals TSI stroke 100*7 sleep hours is also sufficient to show the core system behavior of mortality diseases. Stroke and seizure. 1. TSI stroke 3b represents stress load. 2. Sleep hours represent recovery. CAPSCITY3. TSI seizure represents combined instability outcome. The most important finding is that the quarter 2:05 Q1 showed the clearest danger pattern in the entire dataset: rising stroke stress, falling sleep, and sharply rising seizure risk. About 3 months later, the actual hemorrhagic stroke at Pontine location and accompanying multiple seizure events occurred on June 21, 2025 and June 23, 2025. Therefore, this study suggests that the stroke event was not an isolated sudden accident. It was the delayed result of a developing overload state that became visible in the quarterly data before the actual event. My data for 2:05 Q1 serves as a textbook example of a perfect storm in system dynamics. The simultaneous movement of 3 vectors created a critical instability. The fact that this occurred 1 quarter prior to the June 2025 event suggests that the breakdown was not a single point in T, but a structural failure resulting from sustained quarterly overload. One of the most valuable takeaways here is the observation of delayed cyst response. In mechanical engineering, this is often called hysteresis. My body did not fail immediately upon hitting the peak stress in 2:05 Q1. It took approximately 90 days of operating in that high-stress, low-recovery state before the stroke occurred. This simple but clear time sequence approach may offer a useful framework for future preventive monitoring of neurovascular instability using only a small number of measurable variables. Figure description: the attached figure presents quarterly trajectories from 2:02 Q1 to 2026 Q2 for 3 key variables: TSI seizure top panel, TSI stroke 3b middle panel, and sleep hours bottom panel. Both TSI seizure and TSI stroke show relatively stable behavior between 2022 and 2024, remaining mostly within the range of 87 to 98 and 86 to 99, respectively, during the same period. Sleep hours gradually increased from approximately 6.9 to above 7.1 hours, indicating improved recovery capacity. A clear peak appears in 2:05 Q1 for both TSI seizure 106.35 and TSI 3b 105.38. This peak is accompanied by a noticeable drop in sleep hours to 6.92. This combination reflects a simultaneous increase in stress load and reduction in recovery capacity. Following this peak, Both TSI-Seizure and TSI-3B declined steadily across subsequent quarters, while sleep hours increased continuously, reaching 7.49 to 7.5 hours by 2005 Q4 to 2026 Q2. The lowest TSI-Seizure value 85.37 occurs at 2005 Q4, coinciding with the highest sleep levels. Overall, the figure demonstrates a clear temporal sequence, a period of relative stability, followed by a sharp overload peak, and then a gradual recovery phase. The peak in early 2025 precedes the clinical stroke and seizure event on June 21, 2025, illustrating the delayed system response between maximum stress and actual outcome. Disclaimer: I write this paper not for fame, but to share what I have learned so others can understand their health, prevent disease, and live longer, healthier lives. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C. This content is provided for educational reference only and does not constitute medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is created. You may share this summary freely, but it must not be altered, edited, or republished as your own. All intellectual property rights and copyrights for this article and its related materials belong to the author, Gerald C.